So I guess we can do a proper introduction now. I don't have like a fancy intro thing or broadcasting software,
Neither.
but so I'm Jamie I'm Jamie Maldonado. This is my channel. Subscribe if you enjoy this, by the way. And I'm here. I'll let you introduce yourself for today's chat.
Hi, I'm Taylar, also more commonly known as TE Film, and I'm a film photographer from Nashville, Tennessee.
What would you like to tell people about your thing and what you've been up to?
Yeah. So like I said, I'm a film photographer in Nashville. I think what I'm most known for is I only shoot film, and the majority of my work is in the music industry. So mostly DIY music. And I tour. Well, I did tour quite a bit before the pandemic, and I built a mobile darkroom to take on tour with me so that I wouldn't have to shoot digital on the road, but could still provide social media and tour content, to help promote shows in new cities. So yeah, that's what I do. I also run a film lab. It's the TE Film Studio, and I develop C41 in black and white in this shed here. And yeah, I do a lot. I do a lot all the time. There's tons of other projects too, but that's really like mostly what I'm known for.
Which ties back into your photography practice. Does the client actively seek out the film aesthetic, or is it your visual style that sells the work?
Ooh, that's kind of a hard question to answer because film does the work for me. Like my aesthetic comes from the film itself. So like when I choose a roll of film, I know what it's going to look like, and I know like what color profile it's going to have, and I know like what kind of motion work or whatever I can do with it. And so it really does a lot of the aesthetic work. I think that my style in general, I do a lot of light and motion play, and I think that people are really drawn to that. So I would have to say a little bit of both. I've been shooting film for, going on a little over half a decade, which it makes me a baby, it makes me very green, but I've learned how to make film work for what I want it to do. And I like to push its limits and get fussy with it because it's so much fun.
And I see it as maybe inseparable from what your style is right now, because you do the live music thing, and I can see that you're trying to capture the spirit of those types of shows and the energy, and so digital is known for being so clean and so clinical, but those types of shows are like that type of lifestyle is like sweaty, and that is so much easier to get a direct line to that feeling on film, to me.
No, I absolutely agree. And I think you're right. Like I did shoot digital for a very short period of time, probably up until about the beginning of 2019. I actually said by 2020 that I would not shoot digital anymore. And by March of 2019, I'd had it. I was like, you know what? I'm done. I hated my work. And like the kind of light work that you can do on digital is cool. I've seen a lot of photographers do some really beautiful things, but it just wasn't what I was looking for. It just felt more like a special effect to me, and not as indicative of the flow and the motion of what happens. Because you're right, DIY is it's special. Like DIY music is special. The underground is so much fun. And like when you get 50 people like packed into like a 200 square feet room, and you've got everyone piled on top of each other, and like you got people in an audience who have traveled 40, 50 miles to come see this show, and they're screaming into the mic, and while this guy's like writhing on the floor, it's a whole thing. It's a whole connectivity that you don't really get at bigger shows. It's very community oriented. It's very emotional. And like, that's what I want to do. I want to capture the emotion and the spirit of DIY. Some of my favorite people that I've ever met have just been in passing at these shows. And there's a lot of work that goes into DIY, a lot of like guerrilla marketing, like a lot of like posting the same show flyers over and over, deleting posts, making new posts, like telling your friends, like texting people, like really like you have to work really, really hard. And, depending on what's going on, I think that tour is glamorized sometimes. And like, I mean, and it, don't get me wrong, it is an absolute blast, and I wouldn't trade a single bad day for like the experiences that I've had. But it is a very, very hard lifestyle. And so what I try to do is I try to capture all of it, like the good, the bad, just what is, and not what people want it to be, or not what we want to make it seem like from the outside looking in, because I think that people really resonate with the struggle. And I think that if people see how hard it is and how hard you work, they're more inclined to be interested in listening to your music and supporting your band, because they know that you're willing to put in the hard work. On Twitter, I'm _TE Film. And yeah, cool. I also have a print shop. Oh yeah, I should talk about that really quick too, because I forgot. So I have 2 print shops. One of them is called the Wildflower Gallery. And it is made up of a lot of just different non-music photography related stuff that I've done, more nature and just ethereal things. And then I also just opened a new limited run shop today called DIY Till We Die. And it is a curated collection of 12 images from the past couple of years that are some of my best work, and I think best embody the spirit of Nashville DIY music. It's limited run. So I have 3 prints each of the images in both 5x7 and 8x10. And once the shop sells out, then those images will go into the vault. The vault is something I created to help me not stay stuck on best pieces of work, and to kind of move forward and create new things. So when I make prints, after that print run is done, the vault is where they go, and then they're not printed again. Nice. So yeah, so these are some of the, I think, the most iconic work, the most recognizable work that I've done over the past couple of years. And they are images that I love them, and I'm very proud of them. So I'm really stoked. The link to that is also tefilm.net/DIY till we die. So my next question is from Michaela Hopwood, and she asked, how did you get into photography? How old? I'll keep this brief. I have been shooting on shitty disposable cameras since I was probably 8 or 9. I got into photography as a profession 5 years ago after my dad gave me my Nikon FG20, which is still my daily shooter. Awesome. But the way that I developed my candid style was I would take disposable cameras to parties. We have a really big friends group, and we would have a lot of get-togethers, and I would just take photos all the time. And that's kind of how I found what I loved very quickly. That's what I like to do. I like to take pictures of people doing things and having that community with one another. So
click subscribe and turn on notifications to see more clips from this interview and to catch future live interviews, and become a patron to see this interview uncut, which is the only place you can see it, and my future live interviews in their entirety after the broadcast. Thank you. See you soon.